broken down along a busy highway.
This is the Sheriff's Department. Get your hands up.
A woman ordered out of her vehicle.
Hands up! I'm walking back towards me.
But this tense, high-stake moment all caught on dash cam is no arrest. It's a rescue.
She was abducted from her residence last night sometime.
A nightmare that lasted for 18 hours had finally come to an end.
The suspect took off on foot.
Now, for the first time, this brave survivor and mother of 4 is telling her harrowing story. At home on her farm, Jenna Schiller is best known as Mom. But on roller skates, she's Laceration Lizzie.
I was roller skating with Fergus Falls Roller Girls.
Despite 4 kids and a full-time job, the single mom managed to find time for her favorite sport.
This is something you did for you, something you enjoyed doing.
Yeah, very much.
What she didn't have time for was finding a man.
I'd been through many relationships. It was a little nerve-wracking to put yourself out there again.
But in 2011, a man found her.
He was fun. He was looking for a committed relationship.
And for Dennis Aasen, Jenna's 4 kids weren't a deal breaker. They were a bonus.
He enjoyed doing stuff as a family and being around my kids. Moved in almost immediately.
Like most new couples, all their free time was spent together. And when they were apart, Dennis made sure to keep in constant contact.
He would call and text all the time. I thought he was very attentive and just loved me. And
Dennis soon dubbed himself Mr. Laceration Lizzie and was ringside for every roller derby match.
He thought it was so cool that I did that, and it was so awesome.
And he was your, quote, #1 fan.
Yes.
But Jenna's #1 fan was starting to act more like a fanatic.
And when fans would want to take pictures with me, he would call me names. He would tell me I looked like a and a.
Dennis quickly went from being needy to controlling. Then soon, something far worse.
And probably after that is when it started with the jealousy. Always asking me like who I was with or who was around.
Dennis had plenty of excuses for his jealousy, and Jenna says she bought into every single one of them.
He had been in relationships where he was cheated on or lied to, or people weren't there for him, or he had issues with his parents. He didn't feel loved, so I just thought I could be that person.
But when the verbal abuse became physical, loving Dennis became difficult. He even took the fun out of roller derby.
It resulted in verbal abuse, physical abuse.
In front of others?
Yeah. He would hit me. He slammed my foot in the door at the hotel, ripped my toenail off my foot.
If her team traveled out of town for a match, Dennis would tag along. One time, he left her in Wisconsin with no way to get home.
He took my money, my car. I had to go sit at a restaurant for about 6 hours to wait for him to come back and get me.
The violence got so bad one night at home, Jenna did call the police.
I needed to stop him from what he was doing.
But because Jenna lived so far out in the country, when cops finally arrived, Dennis was long gone.
They asked about the marks, and I told them that it wasn't from him. And they knew that I was lying, but they can't do anything about it.
There was times I saw marks on her, and I'd asked her about them. Said she tried to kind of play it off and say, oh, it was nothing, it's okay, like, you know, don't worry about it.
As bad as the abuse got, it's not what finally convinced Jenna to break up with Dennis. It was something else.
I had been in abusive relationships before, so that seemed normal to me.
One day, police called asking if she recognized a particular phone number. Turns out, it belonged to Dennis.
He had been taking my contacts and places I used to work and friends of mine and family and calling them in the middle of the night.
When they'd answer, Jenna says Dennis would make sexually explicit comments.
I was completely shocked. He came clean about it, sort of, and said that this was something that he had a problem with and that he had done in the past.
From that moment on, she was done with the relationship.
I didn't feel connected to him at that point. He withdrew. He spent a lot of time outside or in the garage. And then when we would have altercations, they would get bigger and worse.
After repeated attempts to get him to move out, Dennis was finally gone. But he certainly wasn't giving up.
Were you hearing from him?
Oh yeah, he never would stop calling.
30, 40, 50 times a day?
Minimum.
He even started breaking into her house. Jenna got a restraining order, but Dennis never saw it.
They have to have a physical address to be served, and he didn't have a physical address.
Worried for her safety, Jenna's boss begged her to move in with her family.
I said I wasn't leaving my house, and I wasn't going to run away, and I was going to stand my ground.
It's a decision that would nearly cost Jenna her life.
I went into the kitchen and went to the light switch to go turn it on, and he was standing right there.
Up next, abducted and tortured.
He just was punching me in the face and dragging me by my hair.
An 18-hour trip from hell was about to become even more traumatizing.
Use extreme caution, weapon.
Whoever's inside the vehicle, this is the sheriff's department. Get your hands up. Hands up!
He just immediately started punching me in the face. He grabbed me and started strangling me.